ever after, and they say they made it or some crap like that. And
Yeah, you don't see him get killed in this one, but it's ambiguous. He when he passes out later.
apparently Rosenthal shot the scene at the end of the TV edit with him coming back to life or whatever in the
We can mention that when we get
yeah,
to
we'll
it.
get to that.
Michael Myers is so thorough. I think like if you were trying to justify why he was going out of his way and killing people other than Laurie, you could say that he saw how many people worked at this hospital and went like, well, it wouldn't take very long to bump them off, and I should just do that to make sure they can't help her later.
You don't want witnesses if you're Michael Myers. You're concerned about that, the eventual court date. Um,
I wonder if he slashed the tires before he even entered the building, or if he like thought of it later and to go back and do it.
let's not, of course, think about the fact that Michael Myers was presented to us in the first movie as a force of nature, psychopathic. I mean, not even a psychopath. I mean, just
A
totally
force of nature.
a
Yeah.
force of nature who might not know what a car was in terms of the working parts.
Hmm.
Whereas in Halloween 2, he can slash tires and cut power at some point. And the locks are another thing that, unfortunately, we talked through the poor security guard's death scene. And let's point out, we've lost Night of the Living Dead at this point.
There's some very different music coming up. Oh, wait a minute. Here's where the this is actually kind of a cool kill scene by the standards of any horror movie, I think. Although I kind of wish we had seen it from Laurie's point of view, because Michael's going to show up. So when she turns around, suddenly he's there. I wish we'd seen that from her perspective.
Yeah. On the
Very
other
pro.
hand, it is one of the few times his mask is not in. If they had shown that entirely in her perspective as sort of a, she's in, you know,
Yeah,
not sure if it's real or not, that would have been really cool.
because that's what they're kind of implying with the Vaseline on the lens, but they don't do anything with.
No,
There's a Coke machine. In the there's a Coke machine. I don't know if you saw it in your version.
I wasn't paying attention. But speaking of product placement in sequels, of course, this was post Superman 2, which had, I guess, is considered to have had the most obscene product placement of any film at this time.
Here's where the movie kind of becomes Halloween again, finally, or at
Have
least
we really been watching this for an hour?
an hour and 10. Yeah,
Wow. Um,
they finally got back to Jamie Lee Curtis being chased, and yeah,
dead
it's
body. Okay.
right.
Wow. Look at that wig. They couldn't convince her to grow her hair out? How long would it have taken?
She had the short hair look already. She wasn't going back. Although that is the only body she finds, so it's not quite like the way she found one after another at the end of the first movie.
That's true, except that's very gratuitous the way the body's just kind of hanging out there. And
He didn't have as much time to put some effort into it as the first one.
well, he had to kill a lot more people.
Right.
And now here we have the sort of discreet objectification of Laurie Strode in that she gets hiked up occasionally in the hospital gown type thing. Which is new for this one, because in the first one, she's not at all.
You know what? What's interesting about the victims in the first one and the victims in the second one is that the reason she survives the first one is, well, critics said it was because she was the one virgin, but Carpenter says it's because she was the one responsible teenager. And I feel like that blonde nurse who Michael just killed, man, his knife is so tiny. That one blonde nurse that he just killed was sort of like the only nurse who was doing her job that night compared to the other
Yeah.
ones.
Wait, did you just imply that Michael Myers' whole thing is because he has a tiny penis? I think you did.
He does in this one, that's for sure.
That'd be kind of funny for
Look at that
Carpenter.
thing. You just swat that out of his hand.
Well, no, he's scary. I mean, if you've got to look at that. Oh,
Now he's
wow.
like now he's like the T-1000.
No, the T-1000 at least stuck his metal hand through the elevator door.
Are you implying the T-1000 has a tiny penis?
No. Well, he did overcompensate a little bit. I think it's because the T-1000 was genderless in the future, and then he got back to the past, and it became a big deal for him to be a macho man, like Arnold, right?
Yeah, he's like the guy who gets sand kicked in his face at Terminator Beach.
um,
She should have just ran at this point.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of inexplicable because Michael Myers never runs.
Yeah, hiding in a
Um,
car is not a
it
good idea.
doesn't really make any sense. Why wouldn't she just keep going?
Bad wig, bad wig.
Oh wow, look at that pig. Jamie Lee Curtis commentary of Halloween 2 might be really cool.
Mm.
I would like pay $1.95 for that.
Yeah, I'd buy that for a dollar
Yeah.
too.
I buy that. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, there you go. 99 cents on iTunes. Come on. We need something new. And now we have the downtown shot that apparently was shot in West Hollywood. No, not West Hollywood, but
Don't recognize it.
um
Check out this cop and his reactions to Loomis because they're so bad. And when he sticks a gun in his face, he barely reacts at all. This is where Loomis is blaming the druids for everything, and I think druids get blamed for a lot of shit in movies because they're so mystical. You can just sort of ascribe any bad thing you want to them.
they're easy. I mean, it's not like there's a big druid movement anymore.
Hmm.
You can just make them bad guys.
Maybe Wiccans complained about this movie at the time. I don't know. I guess they would have complained about Halloween 6 if they were going to
Yeah, if
complain.
they were gonna complain, they would have complained about that. Yeah, I don't think they're really organized. You know, they're not.
This thing Loomis says makes no sense in the context of anything. He says like it's not you know, that's what we're all really afraid of is the dark inside ourselves. It's not monsters and demons. It's like, well, it is monsters and demons, Loomis. You're chasing a guy who you think is pure evil, who isn't human. You said it yourself. That's a pretty tangible monster. That's not just the darkness inside ourselves. Here's Nancy Stevens telling him that there was a secret mystery file that nobody ever saw. You think Loomis might have been told?
This totally dis. Well, I mean, he kind of had an idea because of the cut scenes in the first one or the extra scenes. I mean, that's an interesting idea of shooting new scenes for an existing movie. I mean, I don't think anybody did it between Carpenter and, say, George Lucas.
I don't think you could have done it if movies on television weren't a bigger deal then.
Yeah. I
Dead
mean,
air.
at this point, I'm sitting here wishing I'm remembering the Fog commentary where Carpenter talks about shooting.
Look, he's so
I know.
nonplussed.
Well, of course he's not. He's a sheriff in Haddonfield. Oh wow, that is not shot at night. Wow, look at that. That was shot at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Um, it reminded me of the Fog commentary where Carpenter talks about how they shot it in his garage at night. The talking scenes between Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Here's
I mean,
Lance Guest again. Now I think this is where the movie for me like finishes strong. Probably starting from like